The rain hammered the windshield, a relentless drumbeat that drowned out the hum of the car's engine. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as I stared at the glowing neon sign of the bar across the street. The Rusty Anchor. She was in there. My wife, Lena, who'd told me she was working late at the hospital. I'd believed her. Why wouldn't I? 12 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, and a life built on trust. But the text I'd found on her phone an hour ago, "Meet me at the Anchor, 9 p.m. don't tell him," had ripped that trust apart like wet paper. I sat frozen, the engine idling, rain streaking down like tears on glass. My chest ached, a dull, gnawing pain, as if my heart was trying to claw its way out. Maybe it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Lena wasn't the type to lie. She was the one who'd cry during sappy commercials, who'd leave sticky notes with hearts on my lunch bag. But the text was real, and so was the name attached to it. Dr. Ellis. Boss. The charming, too smooth surgeon who always lingered too long at hospital fundraisers. His hand brushing her arm. I should have confronted her at home. Should have waited. But the thought of her laughing with him, her hand on his, drove me here to this parking lot, watching the bar's door like a hunter stalking prey. The air inside the car was thick with the smell of damp leather and my own sour sweat. Every creak of the wipers felt like a countdown. The bar's door swung open, and there she was. Lena, her auburn hair catching the neon glow. Her laugh cutting through the rain as she stepped out under the awning. Dr. Ellis was beside her. His arm slung casually around her shoulders. My stomach lurched. I wanted to scream, to storm across the street and demand answers, but my body wouldn't move. Instead I watched, a stranger in my own life, as they stood too close. Her head tilting toward him the way it used to tilt toward me. "It's not what you think," my mind whispered. "She's just being friendly. He's her boss." But the way her fingers grazed his sleeve, the way she didn't pull away, told a different story. I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking as I zoomed in on the grainy image through the rain-streaked window. Blick. The photo was blurry, but it captured enough. Her smile, his hand on her waist. Evidence. Proof. Or maybe just fuel for the fire raging in my chest. I'd always trusted Lena. Even when she started working late shifts, when she'd come home smelling faintly of antiseptic and something else. Cologne, maybe. I told myself it was nothing. She was dedicated. She loved her job. But there were signs, weren't there? The way she'd stopped leaving those sticky notes. The way she'd flinch when I touched her unexpectedly. Small cracks I'd ignored because I loved her too much to see them. The rain slowed to a drizzle as they stepped into the parking lot. I ducked lower in my seat, my heart pounding so loud I was sure they'd hear it. Lena's voice carried, soft but clear. "You're sure he doesn't suspect anything?" she said, her tone laced with something. Guilt? Fear? Ellis chuckled, low and smug. "He's clueless. Always has been." My blood turned to ice. Clueless. That's what I was to them. Fool. A prop in their game. I wanted to hate her, to let anger swallow the love I still felt, but it wasn't that simple. Love doesn't vanish. It festers, twists into something sharp and jagged. I gripped the steering wheel harder, my nails digging into my palms until they bled. They climbed into his sleek black BMW, and I followed, keeping my distance. The city blurred past. Wet streets, flickering streetlights, the occasional honk of an impatient driver. My mind raced, piecing together fragments of the past year. The late nights. The whispered phone calls she'd brush off as work. The way she'd look at me sometimes, like she was searching for an exit. How had I missed it? Or had I chosen not to see? They pulled into a motel, its neon vacancy sign buzzing like a warning. My stomach churned as they disappeared into room 12, the door clicking shut with a finality that echoed in my chest. I parked across the street, my hands trembling as I dialed her number. Maybe she'd answer. Maybe she'd lie again, and I could pretend it was enough. "Hey, honey," her voice was bright, too bright when she picked up. "What's up? Where are you?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "At the hospital. Got held up with a patient." I'll be home late. The lie was so smooth, so practiced, it cut deeper than any truth could. I stared at the motel door, imagining her standing just beyond it, phone pressed to her ear, lying to the man she'd vowed to love forever. "Okay," I said, my voice hollow. "Be safe." I hung up, my vision blurring. Not from rain, but from tears I hadn't realized I was holding back. Anger surged, hot and reckless, but beneath it was something worse. Heartbreak. The kind that makes you question everything. Who you are, who you love, what's real. I wanted to storm that room, to scream, to break something. But I didn't. Instead, I drove home. The image of that closed door burned into my mind. At home, the house was too quiet. The kids were at my sister's for the night, and the silence felt like a judgment. I poured a whiskey, the glass cold against my shaking fingers, and sat at the kitchen table where Lena and I had planned our future. I opened my phone, staring at the photo of her and Ellis. My thumb hovered over the send button. I could forward it to her, force her to face her own lies. Or I could send it to his wife. Did he have one? I didn't even know. The thought of revenge was tempting, a dark thrill that promised to ease the pain. But it wouldn't. Not really. I thought of our kids, their trusting eyes, their laughter. I thought of Lena, the woman I'd loved since college, who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd danced with me in the kitchen to no music at all. Was she gone? Or was she still in there, buried under whatever this was? The front door creaked open and I froze. Lena stepped inside, her hair damp from the rain, her scrubs slightly wrinkled. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're up late," she said, dropping her bag by the door. "Yeah," I said, my voice tight. "Couldn't sleep." She hesitated, her gaze flickering to the whiskey glass, then to me. "Everything okay?" I wanted to scream the truth at her, to demand answers, to shatter the lie we were both living. But her eyes held something. Guilt, maybe, or fear, and it stopped me. What if I confronted her and she left? What if I lost her, our family, everything? Or worse, what if she stayed, and I'd always wonder if she was still his? "Lena," I said, my voice breaking. "Do you love me?" Her breath caught, and for a moment the mask slipped. Her eyes glistened, and she stepped closer, reaching for my hand. "Of course I do," she whispered, but her voice trembled, and her fingers were cold. I nodded, swallowing the truth I wasn't ready to face. The rain started again outside, a soft patter against the windows, and I realized the real betrayal wasn't just her secret. It was mine too, for staying silent, for choosing the comfort of denial over the pain of truth. And as she sat beside me, her hand in mine, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something darker, a slow unraveling we'd both have to survive.